let's take a look at a tradition in which people believe is of Christian origin, but is in total opposition to the first commandment. Exodus 20:3 says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." A vast majority of people today who prescribe to the Christian faith willfully celebrate holidays that are dedicated to pagan gods while ignoring the holy days that God commanded his people to keep. Some people choose to argue if the mainstream holidays of today truly have origins in pagan tradition, but there's no need for a debate when we can simply refer to the literature of the Roman Catholic Church, which introduced these traditions to the Christian faith. One piece of Roman Catholic literature is a book titled Handbook of Christian Feasts and Customs, written by a Catholic priest named Francis X. Weiser, and was first copywritten in 1952. The first paragraph of the foreword in this book says, "This book was written to explain the origin, history, development, and observance of our Christian feasts throughout the year of the Lord. In addition to the liturgical aspect of these feasts, their celebration and folklore is also presented. The radiation of liturgy has created many symbols, customs, and traditions that have enriched the observance of festive days and seasons in home and community, and remains of pre-Christian lore have, and remnants of pre-Christian lore have in most cases assumed new meanings and motivations through the influence of liturgical thought and celebration." This foreword says in a very fancy way that the Roman Catholic Church adopted pagan traditions that predated Christianity and grafted them into the Christian faith while assigning new meanings to these traditions. On page 61, this book gives the following reason why Christians celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ on December 25th. There remains then this explanation, which is the most probable one and held by most scholars in our time. The choice of December 25th was influenced by the fact that the Romans, from the time of Emperor Aurelian in 275, had celebrated the feast of the sun god Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, on that day. December 25th was called the birth of the Sun, and great pagan religious celebrations of the Mithras cult were held all through the empire. What was more natural than that the Christians celebrate the birth of him who was the light of the world and the true Sun of justice on this very day? The Pope seemed to have chosen December 25th precisely for the purpose of inspiring the people to turn from the worship of a material Sun to the adoration of Christ the Lord. This thought is indicated in various writings of contemporary authors. In this writing, the author explains that pagans originally celebrated the birth of the sun god Sol Invictus on December 25th, and the Roman Catholic Church adopted December 25th as the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ because he was the Sun of justice. The writer also explained that great pagan religious celebrations were held throughout the Roman Empire by the Mithras cult on December 25th. It's been said of me in times past that I was in a cult because I rejected this tradition, but we see here that this tradition originated in pagan celebrations held by the Mithras cult. God addressed his displeasure concerning this tradition hundreds of years before the birth of Christ by the mouth of the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah 10, 1-5 and 8-10 says, "Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. Silver spread into plates is brought from Tarshish, and gold from Upas, the work of the workman and the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men. But the Lord is the true God. He is the living God and an everlasting King. At his wrath the earth shall tremble, and the nations shall not be able to abide his indignation. In this scripture, the Lord describes the tradition of cutting down a Christmas tree and placing it in one's home. He states that this tradition is brutish, foolish, and is a doctrine of vanities. He also emphasized that he is the true God and the nations will not be able to abide his indignation. I've had people proclaim to me that Christmas is not dedicated to a God other than the God of the Bible, but we have now proven that this tradition originated as the celebration of the birth of the sun god Sol Invictus. It was a tradition of the Mithras cult, and it was grafted into Christianity by the Roman Catholic Church. Let's take a look at another tradition in which many Christians partake, but is in direct opposition to the second commandment.